Heyo, Greg Branos here for the Coach Speak Index. We are doing a Ball Mania 6 draft today on Underdog. Have a very special guest with me. He is an analyst for Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros, and a guy who I think have never seen not smile. One of the nicest guys in the industry, Andrew Erickson. Welcome.
Greg, such a great intro. I love that. Guy that always smiles. If that's what I'm known as in the industry, I'm taking a W. I feel great about that.
One of the many things you're known for in the industry, but one of the most important things. I aspire to your level and can use some of that Andrew Erickson magic. I think with the way that I just like interact and come off, I feel.
Well, it really helps me mentally when I'm basically all my sign-offs are LFG. It really kind of puts me in a good mind space where it's like, all right, here we go, LFG. It's just like I'll be like answering a Slack on a Tuesday morning, but hey, can you just update this? Sure, LFG. It just gets the people going. There
were at least 2 LFGs in the email that you sent me with your CSV file attached for this draft that we're about to do. Bindles, what's up? Going to be doing Bindles stream on this Monday night, I believe, at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that I am looking forward to. It's going to be fun. I'm going to put us here in a 30-second shot clock. BBM 6. We'll see how many people are Wow, only waiting for one person. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead and get that up here. Yeah, I hate when we get in there and it's like, oh, waiting on 11 more people. But this one should go pretty quickly. How many drafts have you done so far this season, Andrew? And how are you feeling about them?
So I've been mostly doing my best ball drafts on Fast Draft. So they're sponsoring the best ball draft kit on Fantasy Pros. So this is my first post draft for Ball Mania for Underdog.
Woo,
so I wanted to kind of come in here a little bit blind. Now I've seen some ADP, I've seen the takes out there. So I'm not totally flying blind, but I kind of want to see how my rankings stack up with where the ADP is kind of shifted. So this will be, I think, a very eye-opening experience, not just for me, but those that are watching, for someone that's first kind of diving into the pool after we've had a month or so of ADP kind of building out here. So I'm excited to crack the seal.
Yeah, let's pop that Pringles top here. Pick number 9 is what we've come up with in this draft, and there's only one red badge in here. So looks like maybe a lot of people are jumping in for the first time. It's a first timers draft.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Oh man.
Randall thinks we're looking sharp. Appreciate it. Randall, if you guys like the hat, you can grab it from the Coach Speak Index merch shop. It is a tribute to Mike McDaniel, Miami Dolphins head coach and sideline vapor.
Mike McDaniel. Love Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. He's all right. He's interesting. He's like oddly eccentric in many ways. But his pressers are normally just like snooze fests. Don't get a lot out of them. Actually, the other day, him talking about Devon Achane was like kind of a rare, like, oh, okay, we're actually getting some stuff from him here. He obviously, like, this is a dude he obviously loves. But otherwise, like that's usually a press conference where I'm like, okay, I can do like a 20-minute chore or something that's not gonna, where I don't need to have my phone out. And because when I do these notes to put in the Discord, I usually do all this stuff on my phone. So like I'll watch the press conference on my phone. Like I'll have it kind of picture in picture and have it my notes app and just like type in all this stuff. And with McDaniel, I can usually just kind of like leave it in my pocket. I don't think I've ever. I think this is my 43rd, 44th draft. I don't know if I've been in any drafts where Ja'Marr Chase did not go first overall.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's like in the past you'd see guys that 1.4 average ADP, 1.3 whatever, and Ja'Marr is, hold on a second here. He's 1.1 average ADP. No, he's just never falling.
I mean, if anything, that means you got to basically take him at number one. I mean, if you have the number one pick, because you're never going to get any exposure. And again, he's going number one for a reason. So
right,
score boatload of touchdowns, even in half PPR. I mean, the guy's a yardage machine, and it's just red zone presence. I think that he might have a stretch where he's going on like an Antonio Brown type of run, where he's just every year number one. Because with Burrow, man, that connection is just going to be so good for so many years.
Yeah, elite player, elite opportunity, and probably a really bad defense. We're on the clock here. Your top players: Ashton, Jeanty, Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas.
Yeah, let's go Ashton, Jeanty. Let's get the rookie in here.
Let's do it.
Let's get the rookie running back.
Got some good coach speak on him yesterday from offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. Just talking about how special he is. His contact balance is so rare. Tough to get him down. The first guy normally doesn't. And also, probably the biggest thing that Chip Kelly said was that Ashton Jeanty can play in the slot. He can play in the backfield. He can do a lot of different things. He's special. So I'd like to hear that.
Are we already at running backs run out of the slot season? Let's go. LFG.
Also, he happens to be in the best shape of his life. He's a rookie. But
Lord, I hope so. He better be getting in shape.
2 picks away, and Drake London, Brock Bowers, Devon Achane are at the top of your board here. We'll see who. Actually, there's two red badges in here, so we'll see who these.
Yeah, hoping London fall. I mean, I think Drake London's a dark horse to be wide receiver 1 overall this year.
Okay.
I love that he has such a high usage of red zone targets. So he's been top 3 in terms of red zone target rate over the past 3 seasons. And
we're on the clock. London is available. You want to go ahead and snatch him? Let's do it. Yeah, sorry. Keep going.
And what I was saying a lot last year, because I had Ja'Marr Chase as my wide receiver 1 last year, and I pointed to red zone opportunity. Every year, the wide receiver 1 leads the NFL in red zone targets per game. You go back to Cooper Kupp's season, Michael Thomas's season. These guys are always having dominant red zone presence. And Drake London has shown that through 3 years in the NFL, even with subpar quarterback play, he's always the number 1 read when they get in the red zone. And we saw flash a little bit with Michael Penix. He had like a 30 or 40% target rate per route run with Michael Penix under center. So if Penix hits as former first-round quarterback entering year two of the system, I think the sky's the limit for Drake London, who we know, I mean, super talented player. His ADP is basically the same as it was last year, except he just broke out. So for me, last year I was off London because I was just very sus on Kirk Cousins, which ended up being right, but still Drake London ended up getting there in the end just because credit to his talent. But this year, it's the same price, but I already know, okay, he already broke out. He already finished as a top 5 wide receiver last year in total points. And now I can draft him again with a better quarterback in a dome with a crappy defense that doesn't have a pass rush. Please sign me up for Drake London.
Yeah, I love that. And it's such, Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator, coming from Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams organization, kind of a condensed offense as far as like who gets involved in that offense. And also, hey, throw the ball to your best players, like we've seen the Rams do. And that's what we saw Atlanta do last year. Drake London, a lot of usage. Darnell Mooney, who they absolutely love, this guy, got a lot more burn than people thought he was going to, and a lot more production than people thought he was going to. And yeah, like if Penix takes, he didn't even play the full season last year. He played a handful of games. near the end of the season. So if this is a guy who's able to, in year 2 of this system, take a little bit of a jump, a little bit better accuracy, maybe on some of the intermediate stuff. We know he likes to spin it deep, and we know the Falcons are fine with letting him throw the ball deep, which is great for Drake London, like a really good contested catch player. And like you said, the red zone stuff, like so important. And this is a team who may be chasing points for a lot of the season because of the defense that you referenced. And it's wheels up for him this year. Breaking boards. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to mention that when it comes to Michael Penix, and I think I posted this on X, I think it was last week, where I posted all the yards per route run of his receivers that he played with in college. And they were all terrible as rookies. So Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, all terrible yards per route run. So either they're just all really bad and or they were just playing in terrible offensive situations, or you're looking at a situation where Michael Penix elevated all these guys on the same offense in Washington. Like, to me, that's the indicator that they all kind of face planted in year 1. Now, again, for different reasons, I don't think that all is lost for all of them, except probably Jalen Polk. It seems like he's probably done. But I think that he's a talent elevator. And I think that's what's been lacking for Drake London his entire NFL career is this talent jump. So to me, it's reminiscent of Cooper Kupp, right? He always had Jared Goff. He had a couple big years here and there, but then he finally got Stafford and it's like clicked. Who could be Drake London Stafford? Again, going back to the Rams connections, boom. It's Michael Penix coming in, gunslinger, going to get the ball to Drake London. And that's how you get a wide receiver 1 overall finish.
From your lips to God's ears, Breaking Board says limited red zone competition outside of T. Higgins and to a lesser extent, Mike Gesicki and Chase Brown. No real competition for rushing touchdowns with Burrow. This is in reference to Jamar Chase's red zone stuff versus, say, an A.J. Brown type fighting Saquads. I thought for a second that was a typo, but I think that was intentional. And Jalen Hurts. We're on the clock here. Your top guys: Chase Brown, Lamar Jackson, Mike Evans, Josh Allen, Breece Hall.
Yeah, let's go Chase Brown.
Let's do it. Little ADP value on Chase Brown here near the end of the third. See him going early third a lot, with whoever is taking Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, trying to stack them up. And that's a guy I feel like really good about his workload this year. I don't feel great about Chase Brown in Dynasty because I don't think he's like a stud that, hey, this is like a lot of teams want him as a running back 1. But Cincinnati didn't invest much in draft capital. They talked a lot about Chase Brown leading up to the draft, how he's a workload guy for them. They want him in there on first and second down. They'd like to bring in, maybe someone else to kind of take a little bit of the workload off of him and keep him fresh. But it's sounding and looking very good for Chase Brown this year, I think.
I agree. I think that we saw the ceiling scenario with him last year when there was no one else back there. And you can get a guy that's going to get RB1 type of usage, even if it's certain spurts.
Sorry, we're back on the clock here. James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Jaden Daniels, Tet McMillan, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Waddle, Jameson Williams.
I'm going to go. So I'm actually going to go against my rankings here because it's James Cook. I want him to sign this new contract first before I'm investing actual draft capital. So I'm going to reach here on Ken Walker. I think that this guy, Ken Walker.
Done.
Oh, no. We get him?
Yeah, we got him.
We got him. Cool. So I have so much faith that he's going to be a monster when he's healthy in this offense. Like, it's just a matter of how many games he plays. But when he's on the field, he's going to be a top 12 running back. Feel good about that.
Yeah. Clint Kubiak, their new offensive coordinator coming from the Saints. Last year, the Saints with Kubiak ran combined 21 personnel and 12 personnel 50% of the time. I expect that to be right around what Seattle runs this year. They've talked a lot about 21 personnel, how much they want to use a fullback. It looks like their rookie tight end, Robbie Oots, who they just drafted, is going to be their fullback. Also talking about 2 tight end sets. Like they want to run the hell out of the ball. That's why Ryan Grubb is no longer the offensive coordinator there. Mike McDaniel before last season said, we want to run the ball. We want to establish the run. and they end up being one of the most pass-heavy teams. And it wasn't like a terrible year for the Seahawks, but it was clear that this was not the kind of offense that Mike Macdonald wanted. So Ryan Grubb gone, brings in Clint Kubiak, who very good in the run game, designing different types of runs, the outside zone, the like pin pull stuff, and they draft Gray Zabel, who athletic guy who can help on those outside run zone schemes. Yeah, if Kenneth Walker stays healthy this year, like I think he'll be such an absolute smash in this offense.
Yeah. I mean, last year he checked off the boxes of, hey, can this guy catch passes and be involved in the passing game? Yes, like he can do it. There's really, I always get confused about some running backs that just can't catch passes, because I feel like growing up, I mean, you're going out playing catch with your dad, right? You're catching passes. You're going outside. You're not just, oh, let's go outside and do handoffs, right? I don't think that running backs are doing that. So again, there's only one guy that I really remember just was like, Jordan Howard was the one guy that I don't know. He couldn't catch like he physically couldn't like catch the ball. He couldn't squeeze it. So yeah. Besides him, I always try to leave the light on like, hey, like give this guy some time. Eventually, at least most running backs can just catch dump off passes. So yeah, Ken Walker, yeah, man, as long as he can stay healthy, he should be set up. And he's in that range where like the James Cooks, Ken Walker, Breece Hall, I like them all more than Kyron this year, but I do usually try to lean towards the receivers in that range a little bit more. But Walker, I know Derek Brown for FantasyPro is really also high on Ken Walker. And every time I see Walker on the board or in my rankings, is him in my ear being like, it's going to be top 10 running back this year, Erickson. Like, come on.
Yeah. There's such a big difference between like a player not being able to do something and like a player just hasn't, like we haven't seen them do it because they haven't been asked to do it. Like Kenneth Walker wasn't in an offense that threw the ball to their running backs a lot in college, but like we knew from the very limited sample size of when they did, and also just from him catching passes in high school that like he has good hands. He just wasn't in an offensive scheme that threw the ball to the running back. So like you can't say this guy can't catch the ball, right? Like you're just it's different things that you're like you're coming to this conclusion in the wrong way, basically, just like bad process.
Yeah, leave the way on for some guys to catch passes. Now pass pro is different, and like running routes to like a Christian McCaffrey level is different. Not every running back I think is capable of doing that, but that obviously separates like the elite receiving running backs versus like the guys that can just do the bare minimum, at least get you rack up some points in some PPR and have PPR.
So we're falling behind a little bit at receiver, but like we'll be able to do a 5 RB build and it'll be super strong. Top receiver right now is Calvin Ridley. Kamara is at the top of your board, and then there's the next receiver would be Jerry Jeudy, and then Roman Dunze.
Yeah, let's grab Ridley.
I like Ridley a lot. We saw last year how much, once not even like halfway through the season, right? Once they started kind of getting their legs under them as much as they could, with Will Levis at quarterback, then Calvin Ridley started seeing a lot of targets. This was a guy that Brian Callahan, their head coach, talked about before the season, and he's still like one of the only legitimate pass catchers that the Titans have here, unless one of these rookies breaks out in a really big way for them.
I mean, Cam Ward says he's like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So Cam Ward knows where his bread is buttered with Calvin Ridley. So
didn't he say that about Traylon Burks as well?
It's like, list off all these Titans receivers. These are all my guys. These are my dogs. But yeah, I think Cam Ward can be. I mean, look, he could be a bust. I think that he has that in his range of outcomes. When I comped him to Jameis Winston coming out because the guy's never seen a tight window he didn't think that he could throw the ball to, but that's usually good for receivers. So that means I think he's going to get some decent volume.
Back on the clock here, your top receivers, would be Jerry Jeudy, Khalil Shakir, Jaden Reed, Stephon Diggs, Jacoby Myers. Top running backs, Alvin Kamara, James Conner.
Yeah, I think we just got to go. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy, man.
Jeudy? All right.
Let's go with Jerry Jeudy. Just grab the receiver.
I like that. What do you think about because I have Jerry Jeudy pretty high in my rankings as well, at least in relation to consensus. What do you think about his outlook this year? Obviously, it's different quarterback situation, different pieces on offense this year.
Yeah, he's definitely one of these polarizing guys because you saw him really blow up last year with Jameis Winston, who's really no longer the quarterback, and he also really took off when Cedric Tillman was no longer a factor. But when both guys were on the field, like Tillman, again, it was a small sample size, but Tillman was going toe-to-toe with Jerry Jeudy in terms of yards. But at the same time, Jeudy is a former first-round pick, Alabama guy. Again, he took him until his year 5 to finally break out, but the Browns love him. The Browns seem very much invested on, he is our best player on offense. We want to get him the ball as often as possible. And yes, I can, wax poetic about what Tillman did. It's been an extremely small sample size of what he's been able to produce at. And he dealt with a concussion that knocked him out for 6 games last year. So that's a pretty lengthy time that he had to miss. And so does that suggest, well, what if he gets banged up again? Like another concussion, is that going to knock him out in a similar like Chris Olave fashion? And then that kind of opens up the target gates for Jerry Jeudy. I mean, Jeudy came out so pure, I think, coming from the draft where Travis Hunter is going to be a Brown, right? And that's going to really impact Jerry Jeudy, where he kind of emerges as a winner because, they didn't draft Travis Hunter. Like, I'm still the de facto wide receiver 1 here. And when you get down to projected number 1 wide receivers on their teams, when they end up being kind of values in round 6, I can definitely get behind Jerry Jeudy again, although I understand why some might be lower on him versus kind of like his expectation.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski loves him, constantly talking about how versatile he is, which you always love to hear that, and especially when they put it into action. A receiver who they're just moving around the formation. It's like they're trying to get this guy in position to win because they want to throw him the ball, obviously, right? The guy that they're moving around there. So if we get some good quarterback play, it's Cleveland's one of those offenses, kind of like the Colts, where people are just kind of writing them off. Like, this offense can't possibly be any good this year. Like, let's depreciate all of the assets on this offense. But Stefanski, pretty good play caller, and they have like 4 shots at putting a decent quarterback on the field, right? Like
4 shots on net.
Those 4 end up being pretty decent. Coming up we're on the clock now. Top of your list, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, and then as far as receiver, Khalil Shakir, Josh Downs, Keon Coleman, Christian Kirk.
Let's go with Shakir.
Shakir. All right.
Yeah, we don't need to reach on Ingram quite yet if we want to go tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the Bills receivers are very, very interesting to me this year. And Shakir, understandably, I get why he goes first. I definitely think that he is the double play here. I don't think that he is the extreme breakout potential guy. So I like him with this particular build where, hey, we went aggressive with running back early. Let's just get some points with some of these wide receiver slots. And I'm cool with us like doubling down at some of these other Bills receiver positions because, I mean, it's crazy to think that we could get potentially Josh Allen's wide receiver 1, not even if it's Shakir. I mean, Keon Coleman goes outside the top 50 receivers. Joshua Palmer. Again, if we're excited about Josh Allen, again, he's an MVP quarterback. If James Cook doesn't score 19 touchdowns again, where are these touchdowns going to come from? Like, maybe it's Allen on the ground, or maybe it's Allen just throwing touchdowns to his conglomerate of wide receivers that we don't have to necessarily pick and choose when they're going to score. But if they're in our best ball team, then we're going to benefit from all those points. So I think the Bills receivers are really undervalued. I think really good best ball picks.
Yeah, great best ball picks. Their motto last year was everybody eats. That was their offensive motto under offensive coordinator Joe Brady. And yeah, Khalil Shakir, I like him as an innings eater for this kind of build that we have going here. And we are back on the clock. Top of your queue, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Patrick Mahomes, Evan Ingram, Justin Fields. And at receiver would be Keon Coleman and Christian Kirk.
Yeah, let's lock in those Bills receivers. Let's go Keon Coleman.
All right.
Let's grab him. I think Keon Coleman for me. So I'm writing an article should come out next week on Fantasy Pros, kind of talking about identifying the next breakout wide receiver. Some really cool stuff talking about when receivers are most likely to become wide receiver one. So top 12 wide receivers in full PPR. And some of the findings are, it's actually year 3. That's actually the most common season that a guy becomes a wide receiver one for the first time, followed by year 2. And then it's rookies and year 5 guys. There's this weird trend going on with year 5 guys that have broken out. So last year was Jerry Jeudy, year 5 guy. 2 years before that, it was Christian Kirk, year 5 guy. And then before that, or after Christian Kirk, it was year 6, but it was DJ Moore. And what do they all have in common? They all were with new teams for the first time. So I was like looking at interesting. Like, so who are some year 5 guys that are on new teams? And it's so funny because we already talked about Buffalo Bills receivers. They have 2 guys that are 5th-year players that are on the Buffalo Bills.
Josh Palmer and
yep.
Elijah Moore.
Yep, you got it, Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I think Josh Palmer is like a pretty good fit there in Buffalo. You know, we saw him with so many big plays with Justin Herbert, and sometimes it would just be like he catches 170-yard bomb, and that's for a touchdown, and that's about it this game. But being paired with Josh Allen, another guy with a big arm and really good accuracy, and also some good coach speak and GM speak on him from the Bills, talking about how he is a positionless receiver, which is great for them because they can put them in a bunch of different spots. That's something that they're not really doing with other guys like Keon Coleman. Obviously, Khalil Shakir is kind of glued to that slot spot for the Bills. The Joshua Palmer versus Elijah Moore, I think is going to be pretty interesting this year.
Yeah. Elijah Moore is, I don't know if he's a lock to even make the team, but he's a player that, has he gotten, as a receiver that's gotten like a worse hand than him throughout his career? Again, goes to the Jets, flashes, but they have quarterback issues all over the place, gets traded, goes to the Browns. Again, more dysfunction at the quarterback position. I was actually in the Coach Speak Index looking back at Elijah Moore with the Browns, and I forgot he was getting like benched in games. So clearly it's like he's been on coaching staffs that just never seen eye to eye with what Elijah Moore can do as an ability. But it's interesting. He's the same age as Rashee Rice. Like, this guy's 25 years old. Like, he's not this, oh my God, this old washed up guy. And the fact that we're seeing year 5 guys be wide receiver ones for the first time in year 5, maybe it's not over for Elijah Moore yet. Again, things probably got to break his way a little bit. He needs to get an opportunity. Maybe it's a Shakir injury where does he become now the starting slot receiver for the Buffalo Bills? But I don't know. I'm just very intrigued with this Bills receiving. And again, I'm not sure which guy it's going to be necessarily, but the fact that they're all so cheap, they're all so late, and they're all attached to Josh Allen just makes me want to get a ton of exposure to them.
Yeah, Elijah Moore seems to have this like short spurt every season of like 2 or 3 games where it's like, oh, the light's back on for Elijah Moore. He's fine. This is it. We're finally here. And then the rug gets pulled out from us.
Yeah, the interesting thing with him too, and going back to the trends of some of those other guys I mentioned, Jeudy, Kirk, DJ Moore, the things they had in common. Or actually, we'll make our pick first. Yeah.
On the board here, top of your board: Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Brian Robinson Jr., Tucker Kraft, Brock Purdy.
So yeah, I think let's go with Evan Ingram.
Let's do it. The Joker.
Yes, the Joker.
Why so serious?
Yeah, Evan Ingram has never finished worse than tight end 6 with a new team. NFL career. His first year is always his best year with a lot of these teams. So the thing that I found with those guys, so Kirk, Jerry Jeudy, and DJ Moore, is before they finished as wide receiver ones for the first time inside the top 12, they all had at least 2 seasons with 100 targets. Who's had 100 target seasons the last 2 years? Somehow Elijah Moore. Like I don't know how he's had 100 targets last back years. That's like got to be a bar fact. Like, who's had 200 yard or 100 target seasons back-to-back years? Elijah Moore, which,
wow.
I mean, his production is not there, but it just goes to show you, like, the guy's commanding targets, but he's been in such dysfunctional situations that it hasn't mattered in any way. So,
we are 3 picks away. Top of the board here is David Njoku, Tucker Kraft, Brock Purdy, Travis Etienne Jr., Jalen Warren, with some ADP value here. CJ Stroud. Right now, we got no QBs, 3 running backs, but 3 very good running backs. Ashton, Jeanty, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, and wide receiver Drake London, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman. Tight end, we have Evan Ingram. And now we are 1 pick away. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out exactly how we're going to piecemeal some quarterback play here. So we can probably grab Penix later on to stack with London. We already have a Denver Bronco. I don't know if I want to get another tight end here though, because I feel like this isn't the range I'd want to be drafting, like 2 tight ends.
We got 20 seconds.
I think, all right, well, we need a quarterback. Let's just grab, should we reach on Drake May? Oh, man.
We can.
Yeah, let's do Drake May. Let's get a quarterback. He's got mobility, and then we can stack him late with some guys.
Speaking of somebody that has potential to be maybe a next Josh Allen, Drake May has those tools. We didn't see the legs a lot last season because they didn't want him to get injured. Listen, this guy, he's a dual weapon, but one of those weapons is like we just don't want him to use it, basically. Got a question here from John. Thoughts on Jaguars backfield? I am convinced that Travis Etienne is a steal.
Man, the Jaguars backfield is going to win and lose people a lot of money this year. It seems like it's kind of how I feel about it, because it's like the Da Vinci Code, right? We just don't know who has the key. Like that's what we're trying to figure out. And I don't even know if Jacksonville knows exactly what. I think they're still trying to figure out, like, okay, who is the best running back for our team? And they have a lot of different options here. So Etienne does give off some vibes of kind of like a, what was it, 2022 Josh Jacobs, where he's like left for dead and no one wants him, and then he just totally smashes because he has a history of actually being a productive running back. I know it's been bad the last couple of years for Etienne, but he's still a running back that finished top 5 in the NFL in fantasy points at running back. Like Tank Bigsby has never went near that. Bashal Tutin is a rookie. And the thing that I just can't quit with Etienne is he has a connection with Trevor Lawrence. Like that chemistry that he has with him dating back to their days played at Clemson. He might be the reason why Etienne's still on the team, is because Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback. He's like, no, that's my guy. Like that's the guy I want in pass pro. That's the guy I want to give the ball to at the goal line. I don't want to deal with Tank Bigsby and Tutin fumbling away our opportunities to score. Like Etienne is my guy. So I do agree that I think that right now you got to be taking stabs at all these Jaguars running backs, because what if Etienne gets traded to a favorable landing spot? Then you benefit in that capacity too. And it's not like right now he's egregiously priced where, okay, he ends up staying on Jacksonville. Well, okay, injury here or there, he's back in the starting lineup. I mean, if I had to bet on who would be the starting running back tomorrow, it would be Travis Etienne. Like he's still on the team. And I don't think Bigsby did enough last year to completely dethrone Etienne as the RB1, especially with Trevor Lawrence, so the quarterback there. So I think that all guys are worth taking shots on right now. I wish I knew the answer, because like I said, I think this is like a code that could potentially break fantasy, whoever gets the, Bucky Irving out of this offense. But I think, you should take shots on all of them.
You also have the outs of, like, if he does get traded to, like, what if he ends up in a place like Dallas or Chicago?
Yep.
And then and anybody, there are people, I've seen people do the like Tank Bigsby and Bashal Tutin, like drafting both of them and just kind of making a bet against ETN. Well, like if you did that with, say, ETN and Tootin, and then ETN gets moved, then you potentially have like 2 RB1s on your team. So, when we're doing 150 drafts, executing those kinds of strategies can be, speaking of,
yeah, right.
and on the board, Ramondre Stevenson as well, and Christian Kirk up there near the top here.
Man, we just talked about all this Travis Etienne stuff. I don't know if I wanted to do. Where is it?
The real test. It's him, Kirk, Ramondre.
I do think that Christian Kirk is kind of underrated a little bit too. Mm-hmm. Let's go. We need receivers with this team. Yeah. Let's get Kirk in there.
We got him, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
Let's go.
Actually, we'll come back to that question in a second. Mr. Popinski says, this has been a treat while cutting the grass. Appreciate y'all. This is good stuff. Appreciate you, Mr. Popinski. Is that a Soda Popinski from Mike Tyson's Punch Out?
Must have been.
I believe is. Oh yeah, because he's got the avatar there. My father was Mr. Popinski. You can call me Soda. We are 1 pick away. ETN is gone. Ramondre Stevenson just taken. Top of your board, Rachaad White, Trey Benson, Marvin Mims Jr., Jalen McMillan, Pat Freiermuth, Cedric.
Let's do Trey Benson.
Trey Benson.
We need some week 17 correlation. James Conner's not going to be there in week 17.
Well,
he won't be there.
Thanks to Spike Week, we can see that he has week 15, 16, and 17 correlation here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So very nice. Quick look at our team. Quarterback, we got Drake May. Running back, Ashton, Jeanty, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Trey Benson. Wide receiver, Drake London, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Christian Kirk. And at tight end, we have Mr. Evan Ingram. All right, so just looking at the structure of this, we'll definitely want a 3 QB build here, and we might be looking at a 3 tight end build as well. I think probably just 5 running backs and 7 receivers, I would guess, would be kind of the way that we would go here. What are you thinking about structure here?
Yeah, I think that's probably the right path. I don't know. Maybe we can. I really like Hunter Henry. So yeah. I don't know if we have Ingram and Henry. I think I feel pretty good about that being our 2 tight ends. Like Ingram, okay. I get that he gets hurt, but if he stays healthy, I think that he could be a top 5 tight end this year. Just if he becomes Bo Nix's main check down option. I mean, he's been really productive when he's been productive last year when he was healthy, racking up receptions. So, and then Hunter Henry, I think, is just really, I think Henry could lead the Patriots in targets this year. Stephon Diggs, we don't know when he's going to come back. And then it's a bunch of unknown young wide receivers year 1 and year 2, where there's nobody established. Hunter Henry also should cash in on some touchdown regression. I believe he was top 10 in red zone targets last year, and he caught 2. And the ones that I remember specifically watching one game, it was bounced off his hands, got intercepted. It was just an absolute nut. This guy couldn't catch a break. Austin Hooper was basically catching more touchdowns than Hunter Henry was. And if we're making a bet on Drake May taking that leap, well, you know who he's most likely to bring along with him if he's throwing a lot of touchdowns? Probably the number 1 tight end, the number 1 red zone option in the Patriots offense, which would probably be Hunter Henry. So, I think that, maybe when we get to the 18th round, we can consider if there's another tight end we like that maybe fits, a stack or something, we can consider that. But I think that we can maybe just stick with 2 if we were able to land Henry. And then hopefully maybe we can open up another receiver or a potential running back.
Speaking of tight ends in the red zone, Sean Payton yesterday in his press conference said that Evan Ingram being able to work the middle of the field and also the outside really helps a lot on 3rd downs and in the red zone. So really, really like to hear that.
Got to get those touchdowns.
Got to get those touchdowns, especially at tight end. It's such a position that's reliant on touchdowns in fantasy. 2 one pick away here. Top of the okay, we're on the clock. Jalen McMillan, Pat Freiermuth, Hunter Henry, and got some QBs here. Tua, Bryce Young.
Let's go with Noel. Jalen Noel for the Houston Texans wide receiver.
Jalen Noel. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the idea because we have Kirk
I was going to
already.
suggest this. We have both the slot receivers, kind of like we're doing with
the Bills.
I mean, not quite the same with the Bills, but just making a bet that like one of these slot receivers is going to hit. So, using 2 later spots to basically give you one playable fantasy spot here.
Yeah. Kirk has had some issues staying healthy in the second half of the last 2 seasons. He's actually been banged up. He's missed a lot of games. So I think this is easy as Kirk is the guy for the first 8 weeks. But I think that Noel is a really talented rookie. I'm surprised that he fell as far as he did to round 3. And I thought the Texans I don't think their idea was like, we're going to draft both Iowa State wide receivers. It just kind of worked out that way because Noel ended up being the top guy on their board at the time. And I think, again, I just think it's a good fit.
We're on the clock here, and I'm afraid we're going to fall like super behind at QB, like that. They're all going to come off if we don't take one here. We got Bryce Young and Geno Smith. Like we can get Bryce Young here. Maybe we get Geno Smith.
Yeah, let's just grab Geno. We got Jeanty.
So. Oh, right. Yeah. Good look.
Yeah. Make a bet on the Raiders a little bit. I think Geno's probably he's probably underrated where he's even being drafted anyway. Like he's a good quarterback. He's been able to put up fantasy points. He runs a decent amount, and there's no job security issues with him. Like he's the starting quarterback, and they have Bowers, they have Myers. So even if he's not lighting up the scoreboard, I think that he's honestly just insert quarterback too. Bam, Geno Smith, perfect.
Yeah, and some very good coach speak yesterday from offensive coordinator Chip Kelly on Geno, saying, I think he runs better than people give him credit for. He can beat you with his feet. He can keep plays alive with his feet. He can be a movement guy, but he can also be a drop back guy. And people, I think their hesitance with Geno. Well, one, some people just don't believe that Geno is a top, 15 QB or whatever, which I think he absolutely is when you're looking at, especially, big time throw percentage and that those kind of big play metrics. Geno's up there at the top. And, this Raiders offense, obviously they want to run the ball a ton with Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll, but they also want to, with Chip Kelly, they also want to play at a really fast pace, right? So it's fine if they're running the ball 55% of the time. If they're getting more plays, right? If they're getting 70, 75 plays per game, let's say, instead of the normal 60 or whatever. I know 70, 75 is a high number, but if they're running more, that's fine. That split of run pass is okay because you're getting more plays. So you're actually still getting basically about as many passing plays as other teams that don't run at such a fast pace.
Yeah, I think that Geno is going to be, he's just going to end up being a good value. Just very much going to outdo his ADP. And I think that, Jacoby Myers is probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. I think he hit 1,000 yards for the first time ever last year. And yeah, he's not flashy. I wish my Patriots had kept him and not paid Juju Smith-Schuster instead. It haunts me to this day that the one time they draft a good receiver and they're just no, we're going to let him walk. Got to sign Juju and the TikTok. Disastrous.
What a terrible decision.
Yes. Beyond terrible decisions. So,
yeah.
God.
It's just, the Patriots and receivers in the past, God, 6 years or so,
they just can't take them in round 2. And that's why it was so great that Kyle Williams got drafted in round 3 because, man, oh my God, this guy avoided the curse of the round 2 wide receiver drafted by the Patriots that will immediately bust. Tyquan Thornton, the minute that pick was in, bust. I just was I feel so bad for the kid, but dude, drafting a guy because he ran a fast 40-yard dash projected to be like a 5th round pick, gets drafted in round 2 by the Patriots, and then George Pickens goes immediately after the Steelers. I'm like, this is what a good team does when they draft receivers. They take someone like Pickens, and this is what a bad team does when they draft a guy like Tyquan Thornton. So, what can you do?
Coming up on us here, man, the QBs have flown off. As far as QBs who are available: Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Tyler Shuck, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco. I mean, we could risk it banking on just Drake May and Geno Smith. On the clock now, Jalen McMillan and Rico Dowdle are at the top. I think both would be pretty good fits. I think Dowdle may be a little bit better fit, could help us stop at 5 here, I think.
I mean, I'm still cool with Richardson.
Richardson? Okay.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why he's falling, but if he plays a game, he's probably going to be in your best ball lineup. Like every start that he makes, he has a chance to be a top 10 fantasy scoring quarterback that particular week. And if we're ever going to get invested in him, it's when he starts to fall a little bit in some of these drafts. And, maybe it ends up he goes later. I mean, we're getting him in the 16th round here, 15th round here. So I still think there's good value here, even though, I think the odds are pretty, I say still pretty good. That is Daniel Jones. It could also be, the day 1 starter, but who's the week 16 starter? Who's the week 17 starter? I think maybe that matters probably more, especially where we're getting him. He's our 3rd quarterback. So making sure that, I mean, if the Colts season is lost, right? Does Daniel Jones starting week 17 make a lot of sense?
We're on the clock. Rico Dowdle still there. He's at the top of your board. And Coker, Kevontae Turpin, Alec Ayumanor. I think Dowdle would wrap up running back for us.
Yeah, let's do Dowdle.
And then we'll figure out receiver and tight end. Let's take a look at the team real quick, and then we'll talk about the structure for receiver and tight end. Quarterback, Drake May, Geno Smith, Anthony Richardson. I feel good about how that shook out there. Running back, Ashton, Jeanty, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Trey Benson, Rico Dowdle. Got 3 absolute studs there, and then a couple flyers, and then a guy in Rico Dowdle who has gotten some pretty good coach speak from Dave Canales on him and Chuba Hubbard being war daddies. Wide receiver, got Drake London, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Christian Kirk, Jalen Knoll, and tight end we have Evan Ingram there. We're going to have 2 picks remaining. How do you see these shaking out? Are we going tight end here?
I think that's probably, I kind of want to see who's on the board. So I think Okonkwo makes sense. We already have Ridley. And, I know that there are those that like Gunnar Helm a decent amount as a rookie tight end, but he's still a rookie tight end. He's a day 3 pick. And I was just really encouraged by this current coaching staff, this current regime featuring Chig Okonkwo at the end of last year. That to me has stickiness to it, where he was blowing up at the last 3 games. And it's the same coaching staff. It's not, he's the pass regime. We don't care about him. This team is wide open for targets behind Calvin Ridley. So if all of these wide receivers flame out, then why can't Chig Okonkwo step up, contract year, explosive guy with the making plays after the catch? So I think Okonkwo, again, we need a tight end. We already have Ridley. I think he makes a lot of sense if he's available to us.
Yeah, back on December 30th, 2024, Brian Callahan had some very good stuff to say about Chig Okonkwo. And Brian Callahan is a coach that, some of his reliability ratings on Coach Speak, not so great thus far, but he is pretty honest when he's just talking about players. I mean, we saw this with Will Levis last year, and Callahan was not afraid to throw his starting quarterback underneath the bus. And Chig Okonkwo was a guy who we saw some red flags with. Mike Vrabel didn't care for him that much and was honest about that. But then we see, like you said, last half of last season, Chig Okonkwo started to come on, started to get some more usage. And we get the coaching staff saying some really good things about him, how he's starting to play faster, playing really well, playing with a lot of confidence. And again, not a ton of real weapons in that offense when it comes to pass catchers. Like Chigakonkwo might be their second most dangerous pass catcher there.
Yeah, I think that he's one of my favorite tight end sleepers. It's funny because Okonkwo was a sleeper a couple years ago, right? But then they got DeAndre Hopkins. Then it just the total thesis of his sleeper appeal just got totally nuked because there were just too many guys in front of him. But in its simplest form, tight ends, is there a path to targets? Yes or no? Like that's really what it comes down to with some of these guys, because for the most part, the talent isn't going to separate. Like they have to have at least some type of usage to buoy a position that, again, is very touchdown dependent. So, yeah, I like Okonkwo in a vacuum, and I think that he obviously fits our build really well.
Absolutely. Hopefully we can get him in this vacuum here. Oh, you know what? Okay. Guy in the 6th spot, I believe, is in chat here. He said number 6. Let's run it up. And he took De'Ami Brown, who's a Coach Speak favorite. All right, we're on the clock here. You want to take Chig?
Yeah, let's get Chig.
All right. Like Greg Rosenthal said, I think about 2 years ago, build the entire plane out of Chig Okonkwo. We're back up in 4 picks. So looking at the tight end room, it's Evan Ingram and Chig Okonkwo. Are you thinking tight end here over receiver?
Yeah. So who are the top receivers left?
Yeah, top receivers: Kavonte Turpin, Alec Iomanor, Jalen Lane, Mike Williams. It's a real who's of what?
Yeah, I think you described. Let's get back to the tight ends. I think you laid out exactly what we're dealing with here. So
yeah,
I think Theo Johnson's the top guy I have ranked there. I think that he started to flash a little bit before his injury last season. The Giants, how many points are they going to score? I don't know, but the fact that he plays the Raiders in week 17, that means if he just catches 2 touchdowns week 17, then this is going to be a great pick. So Theo Johnson it is.
Let's do it. I have 21% of Theo Johnson coming into this draft, and we'll boost that up some more. Yeah, played. So he was a rookie last season. His very first game, I think he played like 85% of snaps and kept that up pretty much the entire season in what was kind of a lost season.
And at the college level too, he kept Tyler Warren on the bench.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, whether that was coaching ineptitude or because he was really good, we don't know. But yeah. I think it's not bad.
Yeah, Tyler Warren played behind Brenton Strange and Theo Johnson. 15th overall pick, Tyler Warren. Got some questions here. Breaking Boards asks, what happens with Amari/Keenan's ADP if either sign with the Jets, Steelers, Cardinals, or Raiders? What do you think, Andrew?
Well, I think obviously it's going to go up. People will start drafting these guys more frequently, but to the extent that we're going to be excited about it, Jets, I don't think there's enough passing. Steelers is enough. I think really it's about the Cardinals, right? Where you could see another receiver there behind Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Cooper would be a pretty good fit. He has a connection with Petsing from their time spent with the Cleveland Browns. So you have a potential fit with Cooper in Arizona. But besides that, maybe it goes into do you think they get up into like round 10, round 11 maybe? Or is that too high? I don't know. Are we thrilled about these guys being factors this year?
Amari Cooper, who is still just 19 years old. Last year in Buffalo looked really bad.
Yes.
And he's not super old, and he was dealing with a wrist injury and new team in the middle of the season. I wouldn't be like completely shocked if Amari Cooper signs with the team and has 500-600 yard season, but I don't think it's something that I want to like bet on happening. It's tough because he did perform like really well with Cleveland, and then all of a sudden just stopped.
Yeah, but we also saw this with Diggs kind of stop pretty, and then he got. I mean, he was pretty good with Houston before he got hurt, so maybe it's not like the best comparison. But when these veterans start going from team to team, I do get concerned. I will say I think that the Raiders is interesting that Breaking Boards brings up the Raiders, because I think that was a spot I was kind of like wish casting in my mind, because I believe I'll have to double check this, but Chris Beatty, who was the wide receivers coach for the Bears last year, formerly of the Chargers the year before, he's been everywhere that Keenan Allen has been, basically. So Keenan Allen's had an in with the receiver coach and be like, hey, give me all the targets. So if he does go to the Raiders, and I can confirm if that coach is still there, I think he got hired as the wide receiver coach, that would perk my interest and probably wouldn't be picked up by his ADP. So I think specifically, if Keenan Allen goes to the Raiders, I would probably be most interested. And then with Amari, if he goes to the Arizona Cardinals, like those would be the two spots, especially they're older players. Amari Cooper has this, I don't know what it is. The update now is with his like home road dome outdoor splits. Amari Cooper has some of the weirdest fantasy splits of any guy I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. John loves your Kevontae Turpin ranking. Biggest special teams contract of all time, means he isn't special teams only.
He's a special guy. That's all it means.
Right. Last year, offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer with the Cowboys was talking about, man, he's so special with the ball in his hands, and teams never want to kick the ball to him, but like when he does get the opportunity, he's just incredible. And so we want to put the ball into his hands more on offense as well. But Brian Schottenheimer was not the play caller last year. Mike McCarthy was. But we did see when Kevontae Turpin got some opportunities, just like how special he is at making really big game-breaking plays. With George Pickens there, obviously that's not as great for him, but there's not, Jalen Tolbert, not a thing. I think that has kind of been established by this point, and these other guys on the roster, I'm blanking on.
Ryan Flournoy, dude.
Flournoy, yeah, Ryan Flournoy. I think Turpin has a chance to put up some real spike weeks in an offense that's probably going to be like fairly pass heavy. Breaking Board says round 18 not pretty right now. Prefer Giddens, Marks types, but if I short wide receiver early, don't mind it. 8 wide receiver build ending with Amari / Keenan. Yeah, they're going super late, and once we do get news about them signing somewhere, I'm sure that ADP will jump up a little bit. We will recap our team here. All right, quarterback Drake May, Geno Smith, Anthony Richardson. At running back, Ashton, Jeanty, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Trey Benson, Rico Dowdle. Wide receiver, Drake London, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel. And at tight end, Evan Ingram, Chig Okonkwo, and Theo Johnson. How are you liking this team, Andrew?
I actually really like the way this team kind of played out, especially after we went pretty aggressive with running backs early on. And that's not something that I traditionally do. Usually I'm mostly follow like the hero RB approach, where I get my one guy locked and loaded, and then I hit on a bunch of late guys. But this draft kind of presented us with, I thought Chase Brown was a good opportunity. I thought Ken Walker was a good opportunity. So it's a matter of, okay, Drake London's our wide receiver 1. Are we filling in the rest of these wide receiver spots? And I think the fact that we were doubling down at same team guys, where it's like, we just need Kirk or Noel to hit. Just one of those guys from that Texans offense. And whether it's Kirk in the beginning of the year and then Noel in the second half of the year, like, great. That's a perfect layout for these two guys that we drafted. Same thing with the Bills players. So Shakir gives us that floor every single week as Mr. Dependable for Josh Allen. And then we get the Keon Coleman spike weeks when he ends up catching 2 touchdowns because he's their go-to guy in the red zone. But then the next week he gets hurt or, puts up a 0. Well, at least Shakir can kind of save us there. So, I kind of going in. Yeah, I was getting kind of nervous. I was like, oh man, like I just made Greg draft a bunch of running backs freaking early. I just nuked this team. But I think that we rebounded in a good way. And I do like the tight ends we ended up getting to.
Yeah, Mr. Dependable, I think, might be the exact phrase or wording that the Bills used about Khalil Shakir recently. Name this one. Andrew Erickson guaranteed win.
Wait,
We can go
you
ahead.
got to throw an LFG in there. If we want to win, you got to put an LFG in there.
Right. You're right.
You won't forget that it was me if LFG is in there.
Here we go. Erickson. Oh, I got to hit the little edit thing. Erickson LFG. Guaranteed.
LFG, baby. We got both Drakes, man.
Yeah, love the Drake. Yeah. Used to, people would say, "Oh, FF in name, fantasy in name, in bio, whatever." Now it's the new thing is LFG. LFG in name. A bunch of LFG Twitter and Blue Sky handles. That's the new thing. FF is out. LFG is in.
It's the way it should always be.
Yeah,
man. It's Friday. LFG. We just drafted a friggin' monster team. We got Drake Maye. Anytime that I can draft Drake Maye is it's a great way to start off the weekend, man.
TGI LFG.
LFG, yes. Yes, exactly. That's what we need. That's the energy we need, Greg. People love it. People love it.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for our live streams this week. Next week is a jumbo week. We're doing 4 of these. We're doing 2 on Wednesday. We're doing 2 on Friday. Right now for Wednesday, we have Justin Herzig confirmed. We have a tentative confirmation on Field Yates for Wednesday as well. And then for Friday, we have a tentative confirmation for Josh Norris, and then a yet to be determined guest. So it's going to be banger after banger next week. Andrew, please tell us what you've got going on.
Yes, so you guys can follow me over on X, Blue Sky, at Andrew Erickson _LFG, putting out all sorts of content on the Fantasy Pros website, working on our best ball draft kit, putting out articles, rankings for all your different types of best ball platforms, Fast Draft, Underdog, DraftKings, all the good stuff. It's fun. The off season, there really is no off season anymore. June, July, we're drafting best ball teams. So just having a lot of fun out here with a smile, of course. And yeah.
All right. Awesome. Go check out his work. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. We'll see you next week. Peace.